Yeah, Kintsugi's great. I'm super into uh all of that. The whole idea of something being broken and then not deciding it's trash, right? Deciding that because of that it has a cool story, and it gives history and purpose and meaning to the piece is mind boggling to me. Um, Give me one second. I'm gonna go on a rant here, and we're gonna switch over to Puppy Cam because I want to talk to you guys about Kintsugi and why it's fucking amazing. So let's go over to the Puppy Cam, and I'm actually gonna steal Puppy Cam here. So, the Japanese art of kintsugi is basically, it translates very loosely to mended with gold. And what that means is that sometimes they would have these pieces in Japan that would be passed down from generation to generation because ceramics is old as shit. So you would have these hundreds of year old pieces that have been in your family, and accidents happen. The piece would get knocked off the shelf, it would fall, it would break. But instead of deciding, oh no, that piece is broken, this traumatic event has happened to this piece and it is garbage and it can be discarded from the world. The Japanese were like, oh shit, let's fix that. And they would take literal gold and they would mend the pieces back together using actual gold as a bonding agent between the pieces, which is super fucking cool. And they would put them back on display because they believed that if something is broken, it doesn't make it less valuable. It means it has history and it has a story. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that hit me in my face because I suffer from a lot of physical illness. I have an autoimmune disease. I have a whole heck of a lot of uh, mental illnesses too, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder. And it's like, yeah, I'm broken. I've been knocked off the shelf and shattered, but you know what? That doesn't make me less of a person. It doesn't make me, bad or broken or worthless. It gives me history and it gives me depth. And I felt such a connection when I learned about Kintsugi that I started exploring it, right? Because that's what you do when you like things, you start exploring it. And so I started to develop kind of this idea, right? I am somebody who has gone through traumatic events, but I am still whole. I am still beautiful because of it, and because of it, I am able to relate to other people on a level that most other people probably can't understand, because it is a totally different world being a healthy person and being somebody who hasn't gone through those kinds of strife. It's a very special kind of thing that a lot of people don't understand. So I started enveloping that into my work, and eventually I came up with this idea. So outside of ceramics, I am also a photographer. I love photography. I love video. I love digital media. It's so good. Um, but what I decided to do is I decided to do a series that kind of just like took this emphasis of kintsugi, right, mended with gold, things that are broken. They obviously leave scars and stuff. That's why the gold is there, to emphasize the scarring, to show that we have survived these trials and tribulations and can, go on and be good and do great things and still be beautiful people. And I said, holy shit, guys, people have scars. Okay, so scars, great, cool. That's how we are able to identify other people that have gone through physical traumatic experiences. And I said, great. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go out, I'm going to find people that have gone through these physical traumatic experiences, that have like had these really obvious altercations on their body, because that is the kintsugi of the body, right? Scars are literal representations of past traumas that we have been through and come out of, and we're still fine. So what I did is I took I went through and I got those people together and I took portraits of them. And I used a transfer process that I developed in ceramics that will take any kind of like Xerox photocopy print, basically, and transferred it over to clay using mason stains. And so this is me. That's me sitting in a chair. And right there on my arm, you can see that little glint right there. That is actual gold. There's a wonderful thing in ceramics because gold has such a low melting point. If you put it together with a little bit of lead that has an even lower melting point, you can actually get it to melt. So what I did is I took these pictures of all these people and I did portrait outlines of them. And I did close-ups of their scars. That's my actual arm. And then I also mounted them with the stories of how they got their scars. That was a series I did for about 4 or 5 people. And I went through and I did all of these scar stories about people telling their stories about how they got these scars and, you know, how it kind of impacted their life. But they're still out there doing good shit, guys. Like, that's the thing. Like, scarring doesn't mean shit. It just is a physical manifestation of something traumatic that has happened to you. And that happens to everybody. And that's the thing. And it's so fucking beautiful to me. I did myself for my arm. I have another one that I still have that is another ceramic artist, Sean. So this is Sean. Sean was on track to be a professional hockey player. He was playing for the ASU team. He was on track to actually get picked up by the NHL. Holy shit. And then he like took out his entire hip socket, slamming into a wall. So Sean was great. And he was like, hell yeah, I'll do this. I'm going to have to moon you. And I'm like, fuck yeah, it's art. We can do that shit. So that's Sean and his dislocated hip. That was pretty gnarly. And then I also did Elizabeth, my wonderful, beautiful wife, who had scarring left from her abusive ex-husband that she ended up having to flee. And it moves my soul to no greater joy that is the only piece I have sold from this series, is the one of her and talking about domestic violence and how you can get through that and come out of that and still have a wonderful life. Now, I'm making myself tear up, so I'm going to have to switch. We're going to go back to games now because I'm thinking about my wife and how much I love her. So we're going to go back to Puppy Cam. And we're gonna go back to shooting people, and we're gonna play games, and we're gonna continue to talk because you guys are my friends and I love you. All right, let's find the dog, because I think all of my ranting and exposition scared him away. I think he might be hiding in my bedroom. So I want you all to take a moment and think about how there are some wonderful people out in the world and how we aren't all alone, and that if you think that you are worth less because you have self-harmed or because you have a mental illness or because you've gone through some kind of trauma, I want you to know that I think you're wrong. I don't think you are worth any less because of that. And I think that it actually gives you a leg up on most people because it gives you a very deep level of empathy that most other people do not understand. Okay, I'm gonna go find the dog. Say hi, Nova. Oh no. Say hi to all the people out there. You a good boy? Are you a good boy? No, you're a good boy. Okay. All right. Whew. Okay, here we go.